Hi there, this is Faisal Insan. I wanted to jump on here quickly and tell you about my free workshop that's coming up on July 11th. There's a 3-hour workshop that is packed with value. And let me ask you this, have you ever felt like building relationships with others around you? It feels sometimes like an uphill battle, whether it is your relationship with your wife or husband, where it feels like you don't have that emotional connection or intensity in your relationship that you used to have, and you don't feel like the positive feedback that you need for your relationship to thrive. Or maybe it's with a business partner that kind of gets you to, that feels like they're getting you to pull most of the weight of the business while they're not, doesn't feel like they're doing much. Or it might be because you're capital raising and you are having a hard time building that connection with potential investors who would invest in your deal, and you feel like it's an uphill battle there, or you're having a hard time with that capital raising process. Now, a lot of high achievers, they think that they can do everything on their own, but actually, as you start to live a few years in your life, you find that your whole life is around other people. This is built into our DNA as human beings. We're a social species. If we don't know how to navigate relationships, whether it be in our personal or business relationships, we don't know actually how to create a better quality of life and progress in life and business. So if you want to accelerate your path in business and actually build better, a much better quality connection with your loved ones, whether it be your wife, children, husband, your siblings, your community, your friends, or build powerful relationships of collaboration with your team, with your business partners, with potential investors and clients, you definitely don't want to miss out on this session. It will be a 3-hour workshop. You won't just hear me talk about train you on it. I'm going to actually walk you through the process to help you understand the powerful reasons that you can use to influence other people and actually be influenced by them, to build that authentic connection with them so they can trust you to move your relationship in a positive direction and to improve the quality of your relationships. And that's based on a very powerful model that's proven to work across 193 different countries. Not just my opinion, and I'm going to walk you through the process to build that for yourself. And it's a 3-hour workshop that you're going to be actually working on this to develop it in your own life and business. You're going to gain so much out of this. Make sure you sign up with the link below, and it's first come, first serve, and I limit the attendance. It's not usually more than 50 people. So if I get past that, registrations are at about 100 or so, and then 50 people are attendees, then I block it out. This training I usually hold for my paid community as a coach. But this is the first time I'm releasing it out to the public. You're gonna gain a lot out of it. Make sure you sign up and put it on your calendar. I'll see you on the other side. Take care. Bye.
Hello, amazing investors. Today, later on, I'm going to be posting a video on 3 of the causes of failed marriage or unhappy marriages. But I'm going to share quickly one of the red flags here in your marriage. And a lot of people don't talk about this, and this is not common conversational language, but especially for investors, especially for those who are trying to do multiple things, especially for those who are, for example, you have a job and you're trying to be on the investing path, or you have multiple businesses and you have a family and you have kids, and you've been in a marriage for, let's say, 10, 15, 20 years. And a lot of times people take pride in being together with somebody for 10, 15, 20 years, which I think it is great. But there are a lot of people who are in unhappy marriages for 10, 15, 20 plus years. So how do you, what is the red flag? And it's very hard to describe, and usually shows up in whenever I'm doing calls with couples. John, great to have you here. Kyle, Alex. Whenever I'm doing calls with my couples clients, and I do couples coaching as well, what ends up happening, one of the most common things that comes up in marriages that are unhappy or marriages that are kind of heading towards divorce is actually they've kind of given up fights for a long time. And it sounds odd because I'm telling you fights are healthy in your marriage, like arguments. They've kind of been together for a while, and the way they holy, there's a goose here. Geese. Looks like he's a little bit angry. The geese here are a little bit edgy around summertime here, or beginning of summer, because they're a little bit defensive of their young ones, which they should be. But anyway, what ends up happening is that they've kind of gone to this point where they kind of live their own lives, and they're sort of like roommates. They're taking care of the kids together, or they're running separate things, and they're on their separate career paths. They're doing all that stuff, and there's not much of an intensity in their marriage anymore. And you can kind of conclude that there's not much intimacy either. It's become sort of like a routine. There's not much physical and emotional intimacy. And as you dig deeper, you find out that they kind of gave up a long time ago. They kind of gave up about 10 years ago or so, and they haven't even realized it. And when I ask them, like, at what point did you start to feel like this? Start to feel like blah, or you start to feel frustrated and you kind of went on your own path, started doing your own things because that's what you thought marriage was? It's like, I don't even know. And then if I really push them, they will say about a decade ago, or 12 years ago, or 15 years ago. What happened? Well, that was around the time when kids came into the picture. They started focusing on the kids, which is a normal thing, but you're supposed to be putting in effort. Or something else happened where they disagreed on something, a big value change, and they didn't want to go through the conflict process, or whatever happened. It's the way the red flag is the way they feel about each other. There's not much intensity in their relationship. They're not fighting for themselves and each other anymore. It's like they're whatever about things. That doesn't mean they don't love each other. That doesn't mean they don't have affection for each other. It's just that they've kind of settled in living their separate lives. It's very common in North America. If you have something like that going on, huge red flag. Huge red flag. Because what ends up happening, a lot of people think that conflict is a problem. Actually, conflict is not a problem. Like one of my favorite people around this stuff, who's a psychologist, you might have known him, fairly famous at this point, Dr. Jordan Peterson. He talks about it. Most people are afraid of conflict because they haven't seen a conflict resolution model to them. Most of us come from families where we haven't seen conflict and seen resolution of that conflict. We've kind of seen conflict and then it's disappeared, and at some point our parents come together, but we never saw the resolution piece of it. So he even says, to the extent a lot of people avoid conflict in front of their kids, he's like, don't avoid conflict, just show them how you come to resolution at times. Like, what made you resolve it? They need to see a model for both. Because we don't have that model, a lot of us, most of us avoid conflict. So anything that can bring intensity into our relationship, or something that can lead to an argument or a fight or some major difference, we will avoid it. Interestingly, that's what's happening in the bigger world as well. If you look at the culture in North America, it's the same thing. People are scared of conflict. People are triggered by multiple various things about important issues. And we're left with this weird thing where we can't talk about religion, we can't talk about our bodies, we can't talk about finances, we can't talk about some political views, we can't talk about anything that's important. These are important things to discuss. Yes, it will make you uncomfortable, but the point is that if you get rid of all this stuff, you will have nothing to talk about other than superficial things, which incidentally most people talk about as superficial things, not important issues to resolve. Now, bringing it back to marriage, now that's an effect of all families kind of leading there in the bigger world. But if you have this thing where you're kind of living your separate life, you're kind of seeing your friends, or you're doing your own thing, and then your wife or husband is doing their own thing, you have a common thing, which is kids. They will grow up at some point, and that is a common purpose we have. But you've lost the intensity, you've lost the intimacy. There is no tension, there is no intensity that you used to have in the beginning. If that's gone, that's a red flag. It's going to bite you in the ass about 10 years later or 5 years later, when both of you come to a point and you're like, I don't know who this person is anymore. I don't know if I know this person. And you're right, you don't know this person because you've kind of been roommates with each other for the past 10 years. So what's the solution? Actually, the biggest solution comes from research. There are 80 plus years of research into marriage. Marriage is what works, what doesn't. If you guys haven't read this book, there's 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work by Dr. John M. Gottman. You definitely want to read that, the Gottman process. But one of the research, I think it's in that book that was pointed out, is that marriages who are stable, who have their intimacy intact, who have lots of things intact, they see each other or connect with each other at least once a week, minimum. What does that mean? That doesn't mean it's in the day-to-day. What it is that, like, day-to-day, you're kind of going through the day. At the end of the day, you're tired, exhausted, or in the beginning of the day, you see each other when you're rushed. You kind of pass by each other. You think that you're living together. You think that you have a marriage together. You don't. Marriages who are successful, they tend to spend at least once a week, they maintain the dating phase. The honeymoon phase disappears, but they maintain the dating process. And I'll tell you this, I lost that for a while, and I almost lost my marriage, to be honest, in the process. And that's very common, especially when kids come into the picture. But what ended up happening was, when I started to go back to at least having that once a week time, focused time with each other, no phones, no business, no kids, nothing, that completely changed everything. And morning, and to the point where now we know that if we are not doing well with each other, we know that it's directly connected to a couple of weeks of missing that, or a week of missing that focus time with each other. So we actually go back to that. It's a lot like exercise. If you miss exercise for a day, it's not the end of the world. But if you miss it for 2-3 months, you start to feel the effect of it. But with marriage, it's even more intense. If you don't know each other, especially if you're the kind of couple who are growing, who are trying different things, life is shifting a lot, you will need to spend time with each other. And that time means focused. Put away your phone once a week, put away business, put away kids, and spend time with each other. If you can do that, that will actually solve a lot of your problems. If you're stuck in your marriage in some place and you don't know how to get out of it, get help. We can have a conversation if you want. I can either connect you with the right people, or if I can help you, I'll move you through a process to help you get reconnected. But I just wanted to share this, and let me know in the comments, have you gone through something like that, where you felt like you kind of became blah, the intensity disappeared, and you kind of start to live your own separate lives as roommates for a while? Did that affect the marriage? Did you guys come back from it? Did you have to put an effort? Listen, marriages work. A lot of times, a lot of people don't realize that. They think just because they're in, after they propose, they get into a marriage, they move into a house, that completes the marriage. No, actually, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of maintenance, just like anything else. Just like your body, just like your business, everything else takes maintenance. So does this. I just want to share this. Share your thoughts below. I'm excited to upload the videos soon. I did a training yesterday on 3 causes of failed marriage or unhappy marriage. You will gain a lot out of it. Until my next conversation, hope you guys have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.